Ah, like you turn. Ooh, that's a nice feeling what you need. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just cruising down the mountain. Got to get his 360 in. Straighten the knee. Straighten back so far your knee's straight. Back even further. There it is. There. Pull your foot back at the top enough where your foot's behind your hip.
That pulling the foot back takes
outside
three movements.
Yeah, outside.
That you have to coach out.
Yeah.
Totally, doesn't
Hip
it? It
dump
simplifies
out.
the crap out of it.
Like, we need to do this at the beginning of the season for us before U10.
It like threw my whole carving progression out of the window.
All the way out. This is changed.
Like
I'm spinning in my head. It makes it
lean to 10 today.
so much easier to teach. I'm not sure I can do that on mile run with these little guys because they're too light. But
If it's packed
we had
and they have good wax, yeah. But the trick there though is just to make sure, you know, they don't have to turn much. It's just learning how to stay get that edge established.
And then
I haven't been on like a fresh.
I'm already seeing in my head like 3 or 4 runs.
Holy Grail.
Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Just
What boot are you?
pull that hip back as far, pull that
24.5.
foot back as
Yep.
far as you
Yeah,
can,
I
and then
Now
do
we're
it in a fluid bicycle-like motion, right? Just this.
Where's your brother?
Foot to foot, back and forth.
He's training.
Just do that for lap after lap.
Here.
And I feel like at some point somebody's edge will
Clear to run
catch.
big.
Yeah,
Oh,
and once you feel it, then it's like
you
you give them that gift
lost
of
the ski and just
being able to play with that.
Yeah, like you get fewer cues
Yeah.
because in kind of the PSIO progression nonsense, there's too many cues that have to be given. Bend your ankle, tip your knees, hips up, knees and nose over. This takes all of that out.
It took me the whole month I was in Europe. I was like, I denied it. I was like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. This doesn't work. How do you start your turn?
You don't.
But then I
But
did
the
it.
ski does.
I did it, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, the ski does it.
No, what's cool too is like when you pull your foot back, you cannot physically get in a more hip positive position. You can't get your hip up anymore, or you don't need to get your hip anywhere.
And you can start that from a low position.
So
So you get forward maintaining a pretty low position. That's what
you can
confuses everybody because they look at a skier like Odermatt or some of them that look like they're really crouched in transition but they actually get really tall right as the hill, because so when you're traversing it says, and then you go into the turn, it's as if you're going over a breakover.
Yeah.
And so they're just pulling that back and getting into a really tall position, but it doesn't look tall
No.
because they don't really go up. They just
You can
go
take
out.
out things like flex. Everybody sits in the back seat, right? There's so many things I'm thinking in my head I can just eliminate in language. No, just pull your foot back. Pull it straight back. Just do that. And it bends the ankle. It puts pressure on that ski. It engages the edge. Like you said, brings that hip up.
In
all
the
with one
right
direction.
way.
Huh?
Brings your hip up in the right
In the
way.
right, yeah. I didn't think of that part, but I know it brings your hip up.
It's good. I think the hardest part is, once you get your outside foot pulled back, the hardest is pulling your inside foot back as well.
Yeah, you don't want, that would be the biggest danger with these kids is
Double up.
letting them get super divergent, but I think you cue that. I think you talk about that later. I'd much rather have a clean ski initially.
Oh, honey.
Because divergence is way different if you have both feet forward with divergence. That's a way different thing than divergence with the back.
Right.
Because you can't be that divergent in transition with that foot back.
Nope.
And you have to do the dynamic move to the next turn, so you're switching in the transition.
The discussion, I think. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
It's cool.
I'm trying to script this in my head as I see these kids, like the group I had this year. Like, how would they respond to this? What am I seeing in their skiing that needs to be recued? And it might just be cleaning up this movement, right? Like, not really make your skis wider or narrow, or just don't worry about that. It's like, no, bring that foot further back. And then pedal through and bring the other foot further back. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to
No,
make
it's
the
cool.
script up in my head.
Watching these guys that can carve, what's interesting, is that Gravesy? On Telegear? No.
Who was that?
Matt Graves. Oh. So what's interesting though, like that's why I wanted Cayman to get that footage of me, because I filmed him from the side. You very rarely see footage from the side.
Yeah.
And like, so we were watching some Hirscher free ski and slalom, and it's amazing. Like all he does, the only move he does is just pull that outside foot back like 4 inches versus not. Instead of rolling the knees, anything, he just goes like this. And then it just goes, and then, and what was so cool about Cayman is he wasn't doing it, because I just watched Hirscher in his slalom, and in that, I was like, a little further back, it changed your skiing 100%.
It was faster.
It's just, the energy out of the turn was insane.
Well, the thing that you can also do is, like, if you're just straight running down a really flat pitch, is you pull your one foot back further than the other, and you actually just turn. You don't
That's what we're talking about on mile with the U-turns.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. And that's what you're trying to do at full speed. You actually don't need any kink.
I'm trying to get them to self-discover that. That's the key, right? It's that self-discovery. Once they feel it, I'm trying to get them to repeat it.
Yeah.
From the side, pull that foot back. Pull it back even further. Hirscher had it even back further. There. That's Hirscher. There it is. There it is. Even further. There. That's it. Whoa. Yeah. Different, isn't it? You did it finally at the end. Did you see how quick you snapped out of that turn? So we just had Cayman doing what we were watching Hirscher do this morning on video. That worked. Okay, Cayman, what do we need to work on after seeing our last run?
Well, like, you got the top this turn with the outrigger, and then once you...
Way too professional. Now there's too much pressure.
Yeah, now I'm not going to be able to do it, but... Once you carve the top and then you get into the middle, you just equal your knee angles, and then you'll be able to drive. So you'll be able to start the lunge, and your hips are in front of your feet, preferably, and you're in the carve. And then the next thing would be is you just bring this foot that's supporting you down, and it actually just goes right to where it should be. If you're truly carving this outside, you just let this one shoot from there, or you put it to your boot.
That's one thing I found at high speed. If I'm trying to do that wide stance lunge, it's super dangerous. I almost did the splits. Like I was like, I don't need to do that in a high speed again.
And that's only really if you want to hand drag too. If you want to get to that progression of just angulation, because you'll never be able to hand drag.
So I guess my point
like
with
this.
my statement was what I learned the hard way there was like I can only do that in slow speed.
Yeah,
And it's not something I want to demo at high speed. When I cut both edges, it was like, whoa.
great for the kids too. Not what I'm talking about, but the outrigger. Because I mean, if you're always trying to just do this, there's no support, and you end up just sliding until the bottom.
Yeah.
Where if you do the in-rigger, then you actually carve the top, and then you trust it. So it's this psychological thing where you're actually carving the hardest thing you can do with support. And then eventually, once you trust that ski and it carves, then you just put it here, and then you hand drag in. But you have
Sign up for a fist race.
have all the things that you need to do.
Did anybody feel the top of the turn with us trying that? It works. Like, you can't stiff it like that.
Carved it.
You were carving the top of the turn, Malcolm. You were doing good. I thought
It's
saw
a weird
everybody
thing, though.
do.
It's hard to.
You got a bad stivet. Need some practice. Jim's skiing good. You're skiing good.
It's like the hardest thing in skiing. So it's
The top of the turn.
yeah. It's not like you're just gonna. Well, I mean, with this drill, you just do it.
You know, one thing we notice with like the U8s and the U10s is they naturally do that anyways. As they start playing with their skis, they stay on that, and they actually just create a trigger because they don't want to fall to the inside. So they actually, when they're learning to carve, it's really natural for them. So I think if you exaggerate it with them and you have them really get it, I think that at least what I saw this season, like with the kids, is not having them tip both skis. If they keep this one flat, because a lot of times they'll carve them, but this one will still be on a toe, and then they're not as angulated. But when they keep this one flat, it forces them to create that angle at the, and then they actually really start to get that, feel that ski like progressively edge, versus when they're like this, it doesn't get as high an edge angle.
Well, that's all also from just trying to pull that foot as far as you can back.
Okay.
Then it
But even
actually
without
hooks up.
pulling back, the
If
kids
it-
do it naturally.
Yeah, if you just go like out, it won't ever hook up.
Okay.
But if you put it behind you, then it will.
Okay.
It's a weird. I don't.
But Luke did that. Remember, he had like a big wide snowplow, and then he
Yeah.
instantly went to carving.
Yeah.
So it's basically the in-rigger drill.
Yeah.
And they don't get nervous about how they look with the wide stance. They just.
Just do it.
I'm hoping on this flatter terrain we'll be able to kind of link those together without that speed. I got going it was hard. I get too fast, too hard. It's like, I didn't like my wide. I like my wider skis, but not in that situation. I wanted really narrow underfoot for that. Just gets too unstable.
Yeah.
What are your favorite free ski skis?
Oh, I ski on a GS 165 17 meter.
So he's got this cool thing. He takes his old like U14, U12 GS,
Yeah, they're like U14.
and that's what he free skis on. You should see what he can do on them. Holy crap! It's a cool. I'd never really thought of that, but like, it'd be fun to take a 165 GS ski because I love the 165 14 meter slalom, but I want to try it. Like, make a 165 GS. I'm gonna have to try those.
They're nice and they're soft enough to do moguls. Broken them in enough.
The issue of pushing that heel back, pushing that back, really threw me off a lot. The whole day I was like, I don't get that at all. I wonder if, because, what's his name? Tom never talks about it. Never talks about it.
Well, if you watch his video, like I watched his
They
video
do
this
it.
morning, but it's subtle and it's not the primary focus.
So
So that's kind of my take from Europe. It's more like my take added to Tom's video.
Right.
He's more angulated and just rolling of the knees than I remembered watching his video this morning.
right.
Where the Europeans do that. So that's not a Tom part of
But
it.
no, I know that. But what I'm saying is for training purposes, to put that in there after they start to get that move and then add it. I
Yeah.
wonder if it's easier to add it or to just have them do it right off the bat.
I think do it right off the bat.
Right off
Because
the bat.
Yeah, I
traditionally
agree.
the way we do it, there's like 3 movements,
You gotta
right?
film him
This,
piece
this,
up.
and this. Where this is one movement, and then everything happens.
So yeah, so the story with Kelly, right? And we just haven't been on a flat enough pitch. It's just the way the morning worked. So I would go up to like Flintlock or something super fun. Mile is great. So Kelly, my wife, haven't had her carve the top of a turn, like could not do it. Rolling the knees, no, none of that worked. Wide stance down mile, it's like pull this foot back. Pull this foot. Now she's like just linking turns. So I would not wait. I would just do it on the appropriate flatter terrain.
That makes sense. Because my wife did the same thing on the catwalks. I said, I want you to try this by pushing that back.
there.
Yeah.
Same thing happened. She goes, I don't know if that's right or not, but it sure does turn my skis.
That's so, I mean, that's what's cool about it. It's like it just does it. And then once you start building that angle and shortening this leg, it's like, I, that was awesome. For me anyway, it feels like a much stronger turn without a lot of force.
Exactly.
I'm curious to see the video. No one ever films me. How'd I look, Cayman?
Look good.
Did I look,
Calling you Hollywood.
huh? Hollywood? I didn't look, I look better than Cayman, right?
No.
No? Well, Jim, do you want to come down here for a second? Well, what Jim reminded me is last time we did the in-rigger drill, we didn't take it to the next step, which was the top of the turn. So it's a lot about having faith in it. And it's the hardest part because you're literally shortening that new inside ski downhill. So it's hard. So you're in this traverse and you're coming across, you've got angulation like this, you know, if you're in rigger like this, you got to come all the way up. And then at this point, you're trusting that you're going to shorten this new inside leg, even though it's downhill. But why this is good for you, Jim, is because you cannot stivot the top of the turn. In this position, you have to have faith. So I mean, this is kind of a this is kind of a short traverse, but I'm going to see if I can do it.
Kind of feeling it when you do the outrigger.
Mm-hmm.
You have to then match your inside edge angle.
Yeah, that's the
It's a
next
knee
step.
drive.
Yeah.
It's like you can't hand drag quite yet if you're in this position, which is a great position, but eventually you just get to there. And
Well, then you got, yeah,
there's
it's
many
the next step.
Yeah, so that hand drag is just one more level.
How'd I look? Did I look okay?
Yeah.
It felt good, it's fast. It feels good, it's fast.
I love this snow.
I thought that was you.
It's all right.
So since you're here and there's a couple, well, Amy's down there, we'll go find her, she had to get her pass. But we'll kind of go through the whole progression. And what we've been doing is, rather than creating edge angle with the knees, it's with the pulling this ankle back with a nice tall vertical edge angle. And then what that allows us to do, and then bringing this up. But the progression is to create this edge angle, pull this back and then just shorten this leg with this called the in-rigger. So we're gonna do a J turn doing that first. Do you want me to demo it? The trick to it on a flat surface, as we learned last time, is you have to have a really wide stance for it to work. Because if you're just rocking down a cat track, for example, you pull this leg back, you're just standing there like telemark. But if you pull this leg back here, you create edge angle. So it's like start with an unusually wide stance. So, wider, wider, wider. There you go. You could have started with a little wider. He just turns in his sleep.
Wow, that's weird. That's worse.
So just a wide stance. Pull that leg back. Yep, pull it back. There you go. You saw that carve there.
It's kind of fun. You have to pull it back a lot.
We need a wider run to really feel it. I think. There you go. Hey Matthew, I think we'll go down to like the 8 came and just like give us 100 yards above that and stop, but show us your hand drag carving. Here, you want to follow him? He's going to do hand drag until we stop, and we'll do it across the flat to Vogue. Because ultimately today I want to get to where we're actually hand dragging. You're going to just, here, give me your pulse. So remember that video we watched? Huh? No. So what I want you to show us is like carving where you're like in this position where you can touch the ground. Can you touch the ground? So for you, that's kind of what we don't want to reach for it by collapsing.
Okay.
Because if we're reaching down just like this isn't going to get us there. We want to get there with edge angle. So if we stand here and do the in-rigger just stationary like this, come way out here and then you can touch. And then when you're skiing, this will just come to here. So this is kind of like our guide, you know. So the reason I wanted to stop here is because we have this long flat and I wanted to do kind of the in-rigger drill, and then as you build speed, you can morph into carved turns with the hand drag. Can you show us that, Cayman? You should have brought your GS because you're too quick.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just watch you ski and then I'll show the in-rigger drill.
In-rigger to what?
With this, yeah. This isn't really a hand drag pitch, you know. What's hard to do about the in-rigger is if you're used to pulling that foot up behind you and the inside foot, you don't really need to do it. But it's kind of cool. So for Jen, this is a perfect pitch. So just like a straight run.
It almost feels like the next step would be like kind of match. Once you get it at the top.
That's crazy clean edge. As weird as the form looks, it's crazy what it does for your skiing.
Yeah, it's insane. I can tell I'm not forward enough in my boot though. Like I'm not forward.
But you're carving this clean ski. What were we saying, Kim?
Oh, just matching.
She's just not used to rolling the top up. I saw some of that you were carving the top. You're just not used to that. You know what I mean?
I wasn't supposed to.
How'd that feel? That looked good. I mean, once you're hooked up, you don't have to put the in-rigger out. You know what I mean? Here's my other son. Hey, wait! Can you show us? Can you? Well, let's go to the knoll here and we can watch him. Okay, so we're ultimately trying to hand drag. We're being really cool. Can you show us some hand drag? Get enough angulation in your turn to touch your hand, your bucket, your pull bucket? Well, this slalom radius. He's doing it. Okay, just like that. Got it?
No problem.
Matthew's just like, okay. Okay, Cayman, show us. Should we do that, or should we do the progression? How are you guys feeling? The traverse? Because in his drill with nobody here, it's kind of safe. I don't see anybody. So let's do the traverse to the hand drag first, right? So it's like J-turn. So I think with straight run, Cayman, and to progressively start turning and see if you can get low enough that you're touching your hand. All the way to the other side, ideally, but your slalom skis, you'll do a circle by then. That's kind of cool. Anyone else want to try? Let's see it, Jim. So just make sure it's clean. So you didn't start clean. So hey Jim, just make sure you start clean. Be more patient. Assume that position and just wait for the ski to build. Instead of the stivot, we're watching. So just, there you go. Try it. Yeah. See, there he did it. Let's see. So for him, the in-rigger, he's a little too forward. He needs to just be more inside. Yeah, so try to keep this leg straight. And then just like without the pulls, it's nice. We can go right to this knee to elbow. It's kind of a cool, like that's kind of a cool mechanical lock.
If I can do that, I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, you're at the right kind of positioning. Okay. Give it a little straight run. And yeah. You're recording. So what I want you to film is me from the side to try to get just, so what we were talking about on the lift is just the difference between rolling up the edge here versus here. Like this much is so different and you can feel it. So pretend I'm coming into the top of that turn there, right? So I'm in transition. In European, we call it neutral. It's like pull that back and then shorten this. And the difference is like this would be how I used to do it. Now it's this, and it's just so much more powerful. You can feel it in your boot. But that's like all it is. Can you follow me from the side? I'm gonna try it.
That was the best I've ever seen a person ski over 15.
That was legit skiing, wasn't it? Oh my God.
That's taut. Pull that inside knee back.
So the inside knee back is a ski instructor thing, and I could see you struggling with that quandary.
Yeah.
So what I would do is like, rather than
Like
pull,
I'm bumping the hip a lot when I
well,
doing it this way.
and what I want you to do is rather than pull the inside foot back, you stack and jack as well. So you're here and you're like, don't know what to do. Just go up, up and forward with the knee, keep the ankle back, but the knee up. So I think people get confused with holding this foot back, which is great with a ski instructor turn, where you're never out of this world. But when you're at this high edge angle, it's up here. So you can keep this foot back, but the knee has the effect of feeling forward because it's up in your face.
Yeah, I've been experimenting a lot with that because I found when I wanted to get like higher edge angle, I just have a wider stance.
So it doesn't even have to be, so when you're inclinated as much as you are, that foot will swing right up to your other knee.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And I found when you get on a steeper pitch, that wider stance isn't necessarily wider. It's just
Exactly.
up. Right.
Exactly. So visually, try to touch that inside edge to that outside knee. And don't let the foot come forward of, say, your rear binding.
Yeah.
So it's like your rear binding, and ideally when you're really in it, you want to feel it pulling it back at the same time.
Yeah.
There you go.
I found it.
That was good.